Let's talk about democracy. The thing we assume is unbreakable, always there. But it can break. And sometimes, you don't see the cracks until it's too late. Our story begins in 2031, not with a bang, but with the slam of a van door. That year, mass immigration raids swept the country. Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, federal agents storming homes, workplaces, even schools. Families were torn apart. Children left crying on sidewalks as parents were taken away. The cruelty was broadcast live. The public's reaction was immediate. People flooded the streets. In LA, protesters shut down the 101. In New York, Times Square overflowed. Chicago saw its own massive demonstrations. These weren't just activists, they were teachers, doctors, grandparents, ordinary people saying, "Not in our name." They believed their voices still mattered. They thought the government would listen. But this government wanted obedience, not dialogue. Peaceful protests were labeled riots. The president called demonstrators enemies of the state. The response? Armored vehicles on city streets. The message? This is not a negotiation, this is a command. The ground began to shift beneath our feet. The government's show of force was relentless. Protesters were met with tear gas and mass arrests. The world watched as democracy's foundation started to crack. The raids were just the beginning. The real danger was how quickly fear replaced hope. And that's when the collapse truly began. You'd think checks and balances would save us. But systems are only as strong as those in charge. In response to protests, the president declared a national state of emergency, curfews, travel bans, and military patrols in American cities. The justification? National security. The claimed protests were foreign plots. The state of emergency was supposed to be temporary. But days became weeks, weeks became months. Emergency powers were renewed again and again. Soldiers on street corners became the new normal. Legal challenges went to the Supreme Court, but the court, packed with loyalists, sided with the president. The last guardrail was gone. The state of emergency became permanent. Curfews stayed. Military patrols continued. The original reason, immigration raids, faded away. The government had seized unprecedented power and wasn't giving it back. The endless emergency wasn't about safety, it was about control. Dissent was silenced. The people's roar was reduced to a whisper. The trap was set, and the door slammed shut. The country adjusted to a new, darker normal. Fear replaced freedom. The machinery of democracy was now a tool of repression, and the nation barely noticed as the lights went out. With the military in the streets and the courts compliant, the regime moved to consolidate power. The silent coup began, not with tanks but with quiet, systematic dismantling of every threat. First, the media. Critical journalists lost access, then their freedom. News became propaganda. Independent outlets were shut down. Major networks fell in line or disappeared. The truth became dangerous, whispered in secret. Next elections. Opposition candidates were arrested. Voter rolls purged. Polling places closed. Voting became a test of endurance and fear. Many gave up. The results were a foregone conclusion. The illusion of democracy remained, but the substance was gone. Finally, the military. The president demanded loyalty oaths, not to the Constitution but to himself. Dissenting generals were dismissed. The military became a personal army. To question the president was treason. Institutions meant to protect the people now protected only the regime. The machinery of democracy was hollowed out. The regime's grip tightened. Resistance became dangerous. The cost of speaking out was higher than ever, and the country slipped further into darkness. The old America was dead, but the regime wanted permanence. They called a constitutional convention, not to amend but to replace the Constitution. The new document, drafted in secret, erased checks and balances. The president gained sweeping, unchecked powers. Rights were stripped away. Free speech became a crime. Surveillance was limitless. Due process vanished. The law became a tool of control. The ratification was a sham. No debate, no real vote, just propaganda and intimidation. The regime claimed overwhelming approval. No one dared laugh at the absurdity. The new order arrived. The republic was over. Fear was now the law of the land, and the darkness deepened. Life became a performance. Fear was everywhere. Neighbors watched each other. A careless word could mean a midnight arrest. The public square was silent. People kept their heads down, praised the president, and hoped to be ignored. The economy crumbled. Deportations and brain drain left industries hollow. Cronies ran everything. Shelves emptied. Survival became a daily struggle. The promised security was the security of a prison. But resistance survived, underground. Secret cells formed, sharing banned news, organizing small acts of defiance. Graffiti, leaflets, encrypted messages, tiny sparks in the dark. The regime cracked down harder, but resistance multiplied. Every arrest created more enemies. The pressure built, quietly. The regime sat on a powder keg. All it needed was a spark. The spark came from a 19-year-old art student, Lena, during a small campus protest. As security forces attacked, Lena live-streamed from a rooftop. Her video was raw, unfiltered, showing students beaten, screams echoing. "Look what they're doing to us, please someone look!" The world did. The video went viral, unstoppable by censors. For millions it shattered the regime's propaganda. The truth was undeniable, the regime's mask was gone. Outrage exploded, at home and abroad. The hashtag #LookAtLena became a global rallying cry. Protests swelled, the dam of fear cracked, the regime's brutality was exposed. International condemnation followed. The people found their courage. The regime had made a fatal mistake, it let the world see its true face. The uprising began, and there was no turning back. The uprising was swift. Governors refused federal orders, workers went on strike, the regime was paralyzed, the military split, many refused to fire on civilians. The president tried to flee but was captured. A transitional council formed, judges, military leaders, resistance figures. The new constitution was declared void, political prisoners were freed. The nation watched reunions, hope returning. Rebuilding began, not a return to the old but a second founding. The new constitution protected voting rights, set term limits, and guaranteed rights for immigrants. Digital rights and media diversity were enshrined. The first free election was a celebration. People voted with joy, not fear. The journey was brutal, but hope prevailed. Democracy is not a gift, it's a responsibility. It's fragile and must be guarded, and when lost, the people can and must win it back.